Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session on meeting solutions, how to build them, manage them, and how to win at them. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is really around how to manage your meeting fleet, your meeting solutions fleet. And so Serge and Chuck from Shopify are going to be doing a lot of talking, and we're going to be focusing this session on Q&A. But before that, I'm going to walk you through just a refresher of what our meeting solutions are. So a lot of organizations have meeting culture, and whether that meeting culture be audio conferencing and screen sharing. But what we have seen at Google is that by transforming that into video-first culture, you can actually see a lot more engagement, both within your company as well as with your customers. And so this is our G Suite meeting solutions. It includes our Hangouts Meet software that's available on all the devices, on the web, mobile devices, on Android and iOS, as well as our meeting room hardware, which is the Hangouts Meet Hardware kit, and Jamboard, our digital collaborative device. Now, why are we doing this? We didn't do this just because we necessarily wanted to be in this space. We've actually got a lot of experience in this. In 2003, Google had 3,000 employees around the world, and we had to connect those employees and offices. And over the last 10 years, we've been building out this infrastructure. Today, we have over 99,000 employees across 70 offices in 50 locations, in 50 countries. And so connecting all of them together with this same infrastructure and the same solution has transformed us to get to over 300,000 meetings a day, over 20,000 video endpoints. And that's pretty significant. We think that we're, and our company operates at scale because of this. So as we think about shaping the future of meetings, we think about it in three simple forms. One is making it simple, making it smart, and making it scalable. And today we're going to talk about simplicity and its smart and its scalable nature. So the first part of simplicity is making it available anywhere. And by that, we have, like I mentioned, endpoints for desktop, whether it be your Chrome browser, and coming soon, it'll be on the Edge browser as well as Safari. And so those are two additions that are coming very, very soon. In addition to that, we have mobile endpoints for your mobile phones, for Android and for iOS, as well as for tablets. Earlier this year, or early last year, we enabled the ability for you to record your meetings, and those recordings now are available in Google Drive. So we're integrating your meeting culture and what you can do with meetings back to G Suite. We also announced in the last year 42 countries dial-in support. And later this year, we're going to be announcing a Call Me support. And what that means is if you have a meeting scheduled with Google Meet on your calendar, you can actually have Google Meet call your cell phone, and you can use audio on the go when you have bandwidth constraints. And later this year, we'll be announcing dial-out support from the meeting room as well. One of the most requested features we've had from a lot of customers is the fact that they wanted to do live streaming. And so we announced this and we launched this where we can actually scale up to 100,000 concurrent viewers at any time. And we do this by taking leverage and advantage of the infrastructure that we have with YouTube and making this not only available to you, but also extremely secure. And Serge here tells me that you should try 100,001 just to see if it works. Later this year, we're also going to be announcing public live streaming. So from your company, if you want to be able to conduct a meeting, record it, and also live stream it publicly, you'll be able to do that as well. We expanded our meeting participant from 50 to 100 last year, and later this year, we're going to be expanding that to 250 participants for enterprise users. So look for that coming soon. So as I mentioned at Google, we have 20,000 video endpoints and conference rooms. And we understand that that might be a little daunting and a little complicated to scale. But while that may sound like the case, we want to assure you that we are using effectively the same meeting room hardware and kits that we use internally is what we sell to our customers. And we have launched a suite of kits that we'll talk about here in just a second for whether it be small rooms, medium-sized rooms, large rooms, and if you want to integrate that with your productivity workflow, like say with digital collaborative whiteboarding. So with all these years of knowledge of installing, deploying, and running meeting rooms across the globe, we have actually taken all that knowledge and put it into a room design guide that is available to you for free that you can access onto the web. And these are best practices that we have adopted and developed with over 10 years of learnings that we have had both with end users as well as with AV integrators and installers. So earlier this year at ISC, we announced the partnership that we have with Logitech. And with this partnership, you're now going to be able to buy a Logitech Experience meeting room kit for small, large, and medium-sized rooms. And also available later this year is the new improved Acer Chromebase, which will be launching later this summer. Now, while we provide you with simple kits that are well-priced and well-performant, we recognize that some meeting rooms that you have require specialized services or peripherals. And so we do have a qualification program where we partner with specific peripheral vendors and providers to make sure that what they provide works with our system, and we test against that continuously. So if you want to know what that is, you can look up our Hangouts Meet Hardware Peripheral Qualification Program on our support page, and you'll be able to see all the listed qualified peripherals. Very soon, you're going to be able to see Meet coming to Jamboard. So Meet for Jamboard is effectively bringing full-screen video conferencing to the Jamboard itself. And so now, not only are you going to be able to collaborate from the Jamboard, you're going to be able to actually seamlessly transition into a meeting or back and forth with this feature. Now, while we love for you to stay and meet, we recognize that some companies interoperate with other solutions, whether it be Skype for Business or for Cisco. And so through our partnership with Pexip, we now have full interoperability with these other systems. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Serge to talk a little bit about how to scale with your administration.
Hi, TJ. Thank you. When we introduced Hangouts Meet at Next 2 years ago, we really focused on the core product experience for the end users. And we followed up from that presentation at Next with a list of concrete promises on how the product would improve over the coming year. We launched things like expanded international dial-in. We added cloud recording, live streaming, and many other features that were in high demand from our end users. But over the past year, we've turned towards another type of user, probably our most important ones. And these are the people that manage and deploy our meeting solutions across their organizations. And so here's some of what we've introduced. Yeah, these slides are really big and easy to read at this size. We've enabled the administrators to set bandwidth levels, maximum bandwidth levels on an OU basis, meaning that if you have remote offices that are in bandwidth constrained situations, you as an administrator can make sure that the meeting system won't overuse some of the capacity. We've also segregated our traffic so that firewall administrators can point their firewalls towards specific IP addresses inside the Google infrastructure, enabling you to use UDP for your real-time traffic instead of TCP. TCP basically means that Meet will try to fake web traffic in order to get through your firewall should real-time traffic be blocked. This adds latency. This also deteriorates quality when there's packet loss. So by properly configuring your firewall, you'll be sure to have a maximum of quality. And with dedicated IP addresses, this makes it a lot easier. We've launched several networking best practices, so best practices for deploying on Wi-Fi, best practices for configuring your network. And we're also going to extend this now with client-side quality of service. So as an administrator, you'll be able to turn on tagging of packets inside of Meet so that your quality of service infrastructure can respect the various rules that you've put in place. So for example, on your network, give priority to the audio packets versus the video packets. So there'll be support for that coming soon. We're testing it currently internally. We're also adding the capability to do peer-to-peer calling. So this means that for one-on-one calls between two endpoints on your network, the Meet client will not go to the cloud anymore. It'll become a fully sort of internal solution for one-on-one calls. Should a third person join? Should a phone join? Should the recording be turned on? Then the call seamlessly flips over to a cloud-based call. So, but seeing that not a majority, but a big chunk of calls inside of Meet are one-on-one calls between different locations on the same network, this should help network administrators save a nice amount of bandwidth. We're also leveraging a lot of the experience we've had in running a large fleet at Google and bringing this out to you, our administrators. And so oftentimes when we've gone to customers that are looking into using a new kind of video conferencing system, and you look at some of the legacy systems that they've had in place, I remember seeing a large bank with 400 meeting rooms requiring a staff of 100 employees to get it up and running and keep it up and running. And so that doesn't scale if you're going to go and deploy rooms, 1,000, 2,000, 20,000 rooms. We can't have a staff of 1,500 people for those rooms. It just wouldn't make any economical sense. So really focusing on frictionless fleet management has been a big area of focus during last year. One of the first things we did was speed up the actual interface. So now it's about 10 times faster to load. We've enabled batch export of data. So if you want to do audits of your fleet in various tools, you can do that a lot more easily. We've improved how you can view the devices that are connected into every room. We've also improved alerts. So should a microphone be unplugged or break down, you'll be able to get much more manageable peripheral alerts through your console. And we are expanding API support to be able to minimize these tedious manual tasks and be able to integrate our fleet management system into your normal IT management flow. Some of this has launched already. A lot of this is in alpha right now. So our alpha customers, the customers that have signed up with us to be able to test features early, are testing these out, and so far so good. The feedback has been very great. Another project that we've been working on for a while, and that we launched now in January, is a very rich meeting quality analytics tool. So in real time, as an administrator, you can type in a meeting code, one of our unique meeting codes that is owned by your domain, and you can go see the meeting performance and how it's doing in real time. You can go look at participant 4. You can see that participant 4 has high amount of packet loss, or participant 4 is running an old version of Mac OS, or is running out of memory. So as an administrator, you can really go and look really fine detail in real time, or you can raise your view above and go see how your system is performing as a whole. So you can go look at different OUs or inside of your whole organization. And all of this data can be exported to BigQuery. And then you can use the Data Studio and use one of our pre-made templates to go look at how your organization is collaborating. How much are these tools being used? What usage patterns am I seeing? If I'm bringing up a new office in Singapore, is this office collaborating with the rest of the company? Which office is it connected with the most? So this is really interesting tools, not just for the management of a meeting system, but to see how your organization lives and breathes in this connected, collaborating world. So this is something that I would encourage you to go take a look. It's a great way to get a pulse on your organization. Another thing that is perhaps not as visible to the end user are the deep investments we're making in the WebRTC platform. WebRTC is an open platform driven by Google, used by almost all of the big real-time collaboration or real-time communication apps out there. And over the past 12 months, we've focused very, very hard on reducing screen sharing latency. And we've reduced the median screen sharing latency by a factor of 6 over the past 12 months. Not all at once, but we've been rolling this out slowly but surely, because, as you know, Chrome is a big system. But right now we're at 6x improvement, which is quite drastic. We spent a 3.5-year sprint on rebuilding our echo canceller that's in the Chrome browser. And this has resulted in 75% less reports of echo on our system, and 17 times less use of the mute button. So this has been a dramatic improvement on our echo canceller front. Echo canceling, I call that dark magic, right? The ability to take an eraser and go remove echo live in a conversation. And this is work that is never done. So now we're investing in the next generation echo canceller to get it even better. But I've been amazed by the progress that our project has reached. We are moving Hangouts Meet to a next generation video codec, the one called VP9. VP9 is used to stream billions of videos every day through YouTube. It's a codec that, at comparable quality to H.264 or VP8, will use about 30% less bandwidth. Reducing the amount of bandwidth in our system is a great thing. Less resources means you can have broader deployments, and is also improve the overall quality of our system. And this is also something that we've started to roll out now, and should be reaching a larger array of devices before the end of the year. But it's all nice to be here in front and talk about the work that we've done for the past 12 months, but I thought we'd invite Chuck from Shopify, comes all the way from Ottawa, Canada, to be with us today, and to talk about his experiences and where he sees a lot of this going. Welcome, Chuck.
Thanks, Serge. All right, maybe just quickly, for people that don't know, a bit of a rundown on Shopify and what we are. So Shopify as a company is the leading multi-channel conference platform. Essentially, merchants use Shopify to design, set up, and manage their stores across multiple sales channels. So web, mobile, social media, brick and mortar stores, pop-up shops. So that's a little bit about Shopify and what we do as a company. And then myself, my role within Shopify, I'm the AV infrastructure lead. So I'm responsible for the team that looks after all of our meeting rooms across all of our offices. So we have more than 300 meeting rooms across 11 unique offices at this point.
So I thought I wasn't able to get that video looping, but you'll see it once. These are some of the rooms that Spotify has built and deployed around the world.
Shopify.
Thank you. You should have an electric buzzer. I did it this morning as well. I said, well, we love both Shopify and Spotify, and you have very different room configurations. Like here we have kind of a lounge setup, and all the way to the more traditional huddle and medium-sized rooms like we see here. So obviously you've built this out to solve a problem in your fast-growth company. But what were some of the things you were trying to solve when you started deploying meeting solutions at large?
So I guess part of it is we, as a company, have grown fairly quickly. My team alone has doubled over the past year. So what we needed to do was sort of to some of what you spoke to, is have a solution that was easy to deploy and scalable and able to be managed. Another piece is being part of a sort of a service organization that we provide service to the broader Shopify. We as an organization tend to grow a little bit slower than the rest of the company, so we don't have the same amount of resources to be able to support the growing population within the company. So we needed to be able to do something with a smaller team.
Okay, and if you look back at the past 2 years, and since the introduction of Meet and some of the evolution of the product, what has most resonated with you? What has been the most impactful?
So I think I can probably break this into sort of two separate categories. So things that sort of resonate with me and my team, I think are some of more of the back end pieces. Some of the abilities to set default peripherals so that we can configure rooms and know what's going to be the default peripheral in the room health and the room insights dashboards, which allow us to see the status of our room, so we can sort of stay ahead of any issues that we're experiencing, so that end users don't experience the problem. So selfishly, those would be sort of the things that I'm most excited about that have happened over the past couple of years. From an end user perspective, I think the one that I've got the most feedback about, and we've had it for a few months now, is the dynamic layouts, and being able to see when you're on a Hangouts Meet all of the participants in the meeting all at the same time, either on one screen or across multiple screens in a meeting room with dual screens, is super impactful, and something that users actually come up to me and talk about and tell me how excited they are about it, and glad that we turned it on.
All right. And going off script a bit here, and what's the craziest thing you've seen happen to a meeting room where you've had to go in and repair and put back together?
So it's probably not. I just don't understand why people do it. Sometimes you'll go into a room and just everything is completely unplugged. So we have in a lot of our rooms, we have the Chrome boxes sitting behind the display, and I've actually put signs on the back of some displays now that say, "Do you really want to touch this?" It sort of cut it down a little bit, but not completely. So.
We have one customer that the Chrome box was kidnapped, put into root mode, and reinstalled with Linux just to be able to run a League of Legends server on it. And you get into the office on Monday, and you wonder, what were you thinking? And you've been an alpha customer with us as part of our trusted tester program that I invite you to contact your Google account manager if you want to get on board with us and see some of these things earlier on. What are you the most looking forward to amongst these things that you're testing early?
I think a couple of the things that either that we're testing earlier that we've seen sort of over this week is transposing is one that I think will be super helpful to all of our users. I made a joke about this yesterday. Is I'm not able to sort of do two things at once. I can't run a meeting and type. I can do one or the other. And with transposing and being able to assign actions sort of just while running through a meeting, I think will be fantastic for folks.
For accessibility as well.
Yeah.
For the being able to see what's being said is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, and I guess the sort of the next piece is in a lot of our meeting rooms, and sort of if you're looking at some of the slides as I cycled through, we don't have a lot of standard meeting rooms. As a company, sort of evaluating how our meeting rooms get used, we have soft rooms sort of with couches, coffee tables, something that would look like your living room, and then more formal boardrooms, and it's sort of a 75% of our users prefer the soft seating. So in rooms like that, it's difficult to put table mics and things like that in the spaces because people move furniture around. So I'm excited about
and you're limited to where you can pull cables and
exactly, yeah. Either we're coring concrete but even if we're running cable, I don't like seeing cables around.
No.
So we'd use a lot of either pendant mics. Array microphones and ceiling speakers. So we have a lot of unsupported peripherals in our fleet. So the DSP support is something that I'm pretty excited about as well.
Great.
And then I guess the next one is more customer facing or more of our user facing is the GA of Meet on Jamboard. So we've been using that in a limited number of rooms. And sort of some of our new construction, I'd like to be able to put that in from day one and not have to retrofit some of the older rooms with Meet for Jamboard.
Right. And, we're amongst friends here, us and maybe 200-300 of you. And I'd love to hear some feedback on what you believe we should be tackling next. Like, what are some of the pain points today that you'd like for us to be in front here next year and talk about how we solved?
For sure, yeah. So a couple things, and how I'd mentioned that we use DSPs and ceiling speakers and all of that. So in a majority of our meeting rooms, we have Crestron panels to control either blinds or lights or input switching and things like that. So what I'd like to see is a control API so that we can move the controls for the meeting room to the Crestron panel so that we can do more things, understand states better. In our meeting room, so we have less peripherals in a room. Okay.
So a lot about kind of reading the room state. Is the room in a call? Is the microphone muted? Those kinds of those kinds of events.
And then being able to send events back to the Meet hardware as well. So to be able to, right now we have in some cases volume controls on on the handheld remote that we have, but then we also have volume controls to the DSP on the Crestron, and you can end up in a state where you're at a really high volume on one and a really low volume on the other, and you may end up with noise and things like that.
Right.
So being able to control the Chromebox using the Crestron panel. So both ways.
Anything else that if we were in different chairs you would want to see us focus on, and you'd say, team, we need to get this fixed?
I guess another one probably is a test panel. So when we're configuring and setting up rooms, being able to play a test tone, being able to see microphone levels. When we bring rooms online, we go through an exercise of sort of testing the cameras, testing the microphones, testing the speakers, and configuring all of those to work in each room. So having a test panel within the interface to be able to do that. Another piece that we could do with that same type of panel would be if a user's experiencing a problem, they can open it up and more quickly be able to pinpoint, oh, I've done this or I've forgotten to do that. So, so a test panel.
All right. Well, thank you for attending. Thank you for Shopify and Chuck to come over and spend some time with us and give us some good feedback. And thanks again for being users.